Okay.
Hiya, Naz. I I came across your
Hi.
Instagram page and it's very cool. I love your art. It feels like it for me personally, it feels like it relies on emotion, like rather than logic as such. As like one that sticks in my mind where it's like it looks like two little rocks and then it's like an empty landscape. What what
Yeah.
what were you sort of thinking when you created that?
Um, well, it is more emotional. You're absolutely right. A lot of my work is. Um, some of it can be political, but I feel like I take that emotional stance as well there. Um,
Okay.
my work is, I feel like my work's all over the place sometimes, and I don't know if there's consistency. But I just try to do different mediums and, you know, just hope people see kind of what I see.
Right, I get you. Yeah. Like the vision that you had in mind when you first thought of the piece of art, you want them to be able to connect to it as much as you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Like the last piece I did, what was the last one I posted? Um,
I think
oh, that painting, I think, with the woman.
I think it was. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm like posting and then not on Instagram and then posting. So I forget what I posted, but yeah, the woman with the kind of texture on it. Um, I like to do sculptural paintings.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah. And so on that one in particular, I actually use paper towel for the sculptural part. I guess that part that kind of looks like a growth. That's what I always thought of it as when I make it.
Yeah, I can sort of see that. I see what you mean about what like a growth out of the painting, like some sort of almost like a tumor, I guess, like some sort of extra thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I made it, because I do that in a lot of my paintings with the paper towel. Um, I just thought of the ocean and coral reefs and just growth. I don't know, like it could be nature growth or like people growth or emotional growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, so there's like an actual metaphor, a symbol within the growth. That's
yeah,
interesting.
I, I guess kind of.
Yeah. Do you work with metaphors or symbolism a lot? It's something I personally love in films, etc.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, do you do what kind of film did you do?
Well, I've only made one. Well, I made an awful film when I was really young. That was like I think it was like based on a Kinder Surprise egg. But I made a film recently that I suppose it's a psychological thriller. It was just for a university project, but filmmaking is something I really want to pursue further to make more films. Um, yeah, it's very psychological. I like to see films more like paintings rather than sort of a structured thing. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
I love that. Yeah, it's cool. I think when you say the psychological part, that always interests me too, because I can imagine in thrillers, especially, I always find, horror movies are never that scary if it's like gory to me.
Yeah,
I
no,
know
I
that
get you.
sounds kind of dark, but like if it's playing with your mind and um, your your yeah, I can't go deep into it. I can't think of it right now, but when it's playing with your mind, that's to me more
No,
scary. So that's super cool.
yeah, 100%. I'm the same. Like, I feel like if you're watching a film and then you see some person like get gutted with a knife and like it's grotesque. It might make you feel a bit sick, but the danger's gone. You know what it is. It's just a dude with a machete. But in like
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, with a film that's like oh, I can't think of a psychological thriller now. Oh, like Nightcrawler. Have you seen Nightcrawler?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
Okay, it's like what I found with Nightcrawler. It's like the mystery of it is what makes it so fascinating. You don't know what's going to happen, and that's what plays with your head. You're like, Jesus Christ, what's this guy going to do next?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds interesting. I have to check it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Have you heard of David Lynch before?
Is that an actor? I'm
Oh no,
so
okay.
bad with like the name.
It's
No,
okay.
I haven't.
He's this director that I'm really fond of. I'm going to watch a film that people claim is his masterpiece tonight. And yeah, he's all about the ambiguity, the mystery of it, that you don't know what it is directly. Do you do that in your paintings at all? Do you ever leave like mysteries or things for people to find?
Yeah. I feel like with my paintings, maybe in particular with the women right now, I've been asked like if it particularly means anything or if there's a symbolism behind it, and I don't know. I've just been fascinated with the female form,
Right.
and going along with that growth. I don't know if that's like about women and their their feelings about it, or if that's like personal thing. I always have kind of both whenever I make my work.
Oh, okay.
With the painting right now.
Oh, so you have a mix of symbolism and mystery as well with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I noticed
Thank you.
with the women in your I suppose do you call them paintings when they're photos? I suppose they're a form of art.
The photos?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the photos, I do double exposure. That's when I use a film camera. So I take a picture, and then instead of getting to the next blank film, the next part, I take a picture on top of it. So there's two pictures on top of each other.
Right. Oh my God, that's so I've edited that before, but what you're doing is the original way of double exposure.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's fun and frustrating.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, because once the first one's taken, that's it. You have to get the next one perfect.
Yeah, hopefully, exactly.
They look really cool. There's one that sticks in my mind, in particular with the double exposures, where there's a flower in a field, and then I don't know what the second photo was, but it looks almost electrical. Like there's some blue coming out of it. I don't. Yeah.
The flower in the field. Is it a bunch of flowers?
I think so.
Or oh, okay, yeah, with that one and the one with the hand. That was just I actually took that in the beginning of this pandemic.
Oh.
And yeah, and it wasn't the real beginning, but like when it was becoming a bigger deal, people were really, really realizing that it was happening.
Yeah.
But I was walking with a friend, and we were kind of just taking in everything and around us, and it was just in a neighborhood. But I kept thinking about like climate change and the fact that this virus is a cause from nature, I guess, and it's like something that's negative and affecting us as humans.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, like the flowers and like the plants have been like thriving. It was very, I don't know. That's what I thought of. I was like, but look at nature. There's one specific part that's like beautiful and positive, and I don't know, focusing on that made it easier. And
for sure, yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I remember when lockdown first happened, part of me wanted to just like scream at the world that like, come on, you can see the amount of cars we're driving, the way we're destroying the planet is. Can we not see that it's happening this way? Like, did you see the photos of Venice?
Of where?
Venice, the rivers in.
Oh no, I haven't.
They were like groggy and muddy, and like you could barely see through them before the coronavirus, and afterwards it was clear water, just because people weren't using it. It's so amazing. Strange. Right. Did you try to like give those sort of messages about nature? Like that's why you took those photos, to sort of show off the beauty of it, the positive of the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it was. There was like a beauty.
I get you.
To it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Nature is just so fantastic. There's nothing like it. Like it's not made by anyone. Well, some people could say it's made by someone. But from what we've seen, it oh God, I don't want to go into religious territory. I feel like that could upset some people. But,
No,
for sure. It's just beautiful. It's made by evolution, from what I believe in personally. I don't know anyone else's belief, but I believe it's made by evolution and how things have grown over millions of years, and the fact that it's like a painting made by nature.
I was just about to say that. I was like, I believe in a higher power, so I always think of like, that's the original artist. That's the real artist.
Right.
Because it was here before us. Who are we? We try to imitate it all the time. We try to do that, but never is quite the same.
That's so true. I guess in a way, nothing can be as beautiful as nature's art, God's art, the creator's art.
Yeah.
The ultimate creator.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Man, and I guess in a way, it could be just as beautiful because we are creations. Like us as humans, we were created by something, and then we're creating paintings. That painting in a way is just as beautiful because it's reflecting the creation of a creation, if that makes sense.
That does. That's true. That's a cool way of thinking it. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. Do you like, sorry, you mentioned you like believe in a higher power. Do you ever like refer to that in your work?
Sometimes I don't know my own work.
Oh.
In a way, what I mean is sometimes these things that, because I can't see it now, but I'm a spiritual person. So I don't know if it's really in there, but I think that it could be in everything. Doesn't matter if it was purposeful or not.
Right. Okay. I get what you mean. So like this shelf could be beautiful depending on who's viewing it. Like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It depends on who's looking at it that takes it in as being a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oof. So I guess the art that's admired most is by the amount of people that can see it as beautiful, and nature seems to be a really common factor of that.
Yeah, I see. That's so true. It's like you can ask everybody. I don't know if there's anybody who would be like nature's ugly or who likes nature, you know.
For sure.
It,
Yeah.
yeah.
I there's some people that I suppose they can see the beauty in the tragedies as well, like such as the coronavirus, not like specifically the nature aspect of it, but the death involved in it. I wonder if there are people that see the beauty in the artistic side of that, which I suppose I can see. I can sort of switch it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It's hard because for me, I don't like minimizing things at the same time because it's been so bad with coronavirus and all that. But it is from nature, like we're saying, and there are other, like while that's happening, there's still other parts that are growing. So like, for example, what I realized at the time was that because we weren't all there, we're not outside kind of destroying our, why can't I think of the word right now?
Like this destroying, because we're all stuck inside, we're not destroying the planet. And is that sort of what you mean? Like that's the beautiful aspect of it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's weird. I don't know why, but like sometimes when I podcast, I lose words of like what to say. I feel like a bit of pressure. I don't know if you were feeling that.
Absolutely. It's hard being put on the spot for me. I blank out. It's like I know what I want to say, but like because I'm thinking about the fact that I have to answer it, I forget what I'm trying to think about, and it's like a whirlwind of happening in the brain, so nothing's coming out of your mouth.
100%. Yeah. Oh, anxiety is a bitch. Anxiety is evil. And
oh yeah, it's pretty common though. I feel like
100%.
now.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's so commonly read. Man.
Yeah.
As an actor, I have to read like I'm actually resting my phone on the book right now. I'm reading about body language and sort of analyzing people. And when I was going out into the world, I was like, before I was sort of thinking like, wow, everyone's so like calm and relaxed, and no one seems to be that worried. And then like the more I'm sort of analyzing people, and the more I'm seeing that it's just so common. People get worried. People get anxious. I couldn't read that you were anxious when you couldn't think of the thought. It was just when you said that you couldn't think of the word that I was like, oh, maybe that's a possibility. I don't think we show it on the outside as much as we feel on the inside.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Everything you're saying, I completely agree with. And there's something about saying it that makes it easier. And I feel like if we didn't have such a stigma around maybe being weird because you have social anxiety or, there's different mental disorders like being depressed and not wanting to go do anything because you're depressed, or just problems with our mental health. I feel like if we just talked about it openly, and if there was something wrong, like to kind of say it, what's in your mind, maybe not overshare. I'm an oversharer sometimes because I get nervous. But it's like, okay, I got to tell you everything that's in my mind. And it's like, okay, keep it to yourself and figure it out. Sometimes I feel that way. But the truth is, I notice in other people, the minute you let them feel comfortable that it's okay to feel that way, then it's like, okay, so people get it. They're not looking at me like why is she weird or awkward or something like that? Because that's like always my fear.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, I guess when we're feeling anxious and we're trying to hide it, it's then just like another thought that's adding to the mix. Like you're thinking like, oh, what am I going to say? And then the anxiety comes in and you're thinking, shit, I gotta hide this anxiety down. It's just another thought that's stuck in this whirlpool. And when you release it, it's like, oh, that's an extra thought that I don't have to worry about because I can let my legs shake or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
being
free. Funnily enough, one of the reasons I found your page is because I searched the hashtag because I was feeling like pretty low about a week and a half ago, and I searched the hashtag. I think it was pain art or sad art, something along those lines, and your page popped up. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's interesting that we're now talking about mental health.
That is super interesting and wow by chance, because I don't know if I've put that hashtag in a while. So I think that's kind of awesome. Yeah. That must have, because a lot of my work too has a backbone in mental health and kind of releasing that, like being okay with the fact that you have something going on mentally. So I'm like now trying to think, which piece of work did I put a hashtag on? I could think of some that I would have, but I don't know. I can't remember.
It sounds like you sort of like instinctually create the art and then you sort of throw it out into the ether and you're like, that's my child, I've made it and now I'm going to release it. It's not like, it doesn't sound like you focus on each bit and just like remember it for ages, which I think is kind of beautiful.
Thank you. I never thought of that. Thank you.
It's okay. It's kind of like, it's kind of instinctual. I noticed in some of your photos, you're like you're creating art, but you're using your fingers, like you're finger painting. Do you do all of your art like that?
Yeah. So when I'm using the paper towel to create those growths I was talking about, I'm breaking it apart with my hands, and a lot of the time when I'm using a paper towel to like wipe my hands with the painting I'm already making, the abstract painting I'm making. So because it's already full of the colors that were on the painting or what I was using to paint, I dip it in water and it kind of like those colors expand and move around in the paper towel. And I love the texture and how it kind of just automatically sticks to the canvas. But it's water, but it's like glue because it just sticks there with the acrylic. And so right. I guess in a way I use my fingers, but it's like, because I like that sculptural touching what I'm making. I love the idea of that, I guess. Yeah,
I get you. It felt like it feels like, because I've painted myself before, but I've used brushes, and I feel like if I was to use my fingers, I'd feel like a bit of a stronger connection with the art that I'm creating.
Exactly. It's that. Yeah.
It's like,
so you do it too? You paint, what do you?
I've only painted 2 landscapes before. Do you know Bob Ross?
Which art?
Bob Ross. He's this famous painter.
Bob Ross.
Yes, yeah. One of my good friends, Ruben, he was sort of teaching me how to paint those sorts of landscapes. So that's all I've done so far, just landscapes. But I'd love to go into it more. I'd love to create surreal art. I love surrealism.
Yeah. That's super cool. I can't do stuff like that's really neat that you can, because I can never like draw what I see. I'm not the best at that. So we both like want to do the different types of work.
That's true. We need to swap some skills.
Yeah.
Man. So cool. I love art. It's just such an expression. It's so instinctual. Like you don't think like going into it. Oh, I don't know. You might, but when I'm going into it, I don't think like I'm going to create exactly this. It just seems to happen in the moment.
I'm the exact same way. So I'm there with you. You don't always think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It would kind of defeat the purpose of expressing yourself because you're just going back into work by thinking about it. I guess that's what we do with work. We go into work and we're thinking, we're analyzing, and then we get to the canvas and it's like playtime.
Right. You just do.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's always hard too, because when you overthink it, then nothing comes out, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if you felt that. Like you get into this mindset that you want to plan it, and then when you're trying to plan it, the more it gets hard to just do instead of just play with material, just let thoughts come along, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, recently, today, I've started writing a letter to someone special to me, and I was sat down, sort of trying to plan it, trying to figure it out, and it wasn't. It just didn't feel right. And then I went away from it. I did a class at uni over a Zoom call. And then right after the class, a thought just popped in my head. It was instinctual. I wasn't thinking about it. And it happened. It was so beautiful. Just by like taking my thoughts, focusing it on something else. It was like my brain was able to play with the thought.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know what you mean. It just, we overthink things. I think a lot of people do.
Sorry. Wait, could you say something again? I think oh no, my phone seems to, I'm just going to stop the podcast for a second. Record again. Sorry. We had a minor fault. My phone disconnected from the Rodecaster Pro. But yeah, we were talking about how instinctual it is to like create something. We can't really think about it. And when we stopped recording, I was actually thinking about how it's kind of like a kid in like kid playing. The kid isn't thinking. He's not judging like this toy is this car must do this. He's just like,
yeah, that's super cool. You're talking about that. I watch after kids. And sometimes I notice, because I like to teach them art a lot of the time. I'm like, why not do that while I'm there with the kids watching them? And I notice whenever she like does it, she just does it. And like, it just comes out so beautifully. She's a natural artist anyways, but I'm like, I wish I could just like do that all the time. You just start playing, no thought, and it comes out so, it's so beautiful. Wish we could do that. Be kids.
Totally. Yeah. Just letting go of it, letting go of thoughts. Have you ever used like any techniques to sort of get rid of it, like meditation, to get rid of the thoughts? Well, not to get rid of them as such, but I suppose make them easier to deal with so they don't get in the way.
No, I don't. I should.
Yeah. It's one of those things, meditation, like, it does require a lot of effort. It's like, it's a task at the end of the day. And when we've all got extra things going on in our lives to like sit down and take that time, it could even, I suppose it could even add pressure to the painting process, because we're sat down focusing on the fact that we want to create more art by meditating. I suppose it kind of defeats the purpose of it rather than just letting it happen. Is there a specific time that you feel like you're more creative?
Usually I make myself work. I find myself most creative probably later, but when I make those days I have days that I just solely make or use for my art. I do it in the daytime because I feel like I have to make myself do it, kind of thing. Even though sometimes I don't want to, I have to. It's so I can make stuff. I've tried to train myself to do it. It's difficult sometimes.
Right. Does it work to like force yourself to work?
I treat it like it was much harder to do a couple years ago, but I started to treat it like a job. Right. Not always, but like sometimes, like it's your job. If I want to be an artist, I feel like it's also a job, and so I kind of just either paint or start taking pictures and see what happens from there. And a lot of the times it feels like crap.
Oh no, really?
A lot of, like in terms of like what the work looks like or what came out, a lot of the times I'm like, oh, I wish it felt better. Like it doesn't look the way I want it to.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel that for sure. Like when I focused on, like, there was a project I was doing a while back with a film. I can't remember what the original stimulus was, but it was to do with like addiction to mobile phones. And I love the film, how it's turned out now. What I'd do is I'd sort of set a specific time to work on it. And within that time, I could play around with any aspect of it. And
yeah,
it was great. I love how the film turned out. But originally, when I was working on it, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I've become part of like the system that I wanted to fight against. It just, I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, I've felt that. I've felt that before. It's like kind of just are in it, and I don't know. You just kind of like.
Yeah, you just sort of I guess you have to ignore those thoughts, the negative thoughts, and we that kind of gets in the way of work. We want to make our work like fun, to enjoy it.
Right.
Do you have like a system when you sort of like set yourself as like, this is my time to work, to create? What's like the first sort of thing that you do?
So it's strange. Like painting has kind of been a newer thing that I've done, and it's my only way to start doing any of work or other work that I want to do. Like there's other mediums that I like to mess with. So what I do is I treat it like just put the put the brush on the canvas, and then like kind of just not care about what's happening.
Whoa.
And like, yeah. And it's and I have to write it in my journal, like make a time to paint so that I can use that, I guess, do that.
Right. I get you.
Sorry. You get what I'm saying? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's difficult over Zoom as well. Like in person, it's far easier to explain things. But no, yeah, that makes total sense. Like you don't sort of set yourself a structure. You just give yourself a time, and within that time, you flow. It's sort of like a flow state.
Yeah, I try to schedule it in. It's like not like I make it a part of my schedule, kind of thing, because. Right. Otherwise, I don't know if you're like this too, you'll just stay in that, not writer's block, but like, I guess, artist block where you just don't know where to start.
100%. Yeah, I've got schedules. I write a schedule for every single day because otherwise I just won't do it.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I suppose it's kind of like dancing in a way. Like, recently because of the social anxiety, I couldn't dance in front of people because I was thinking of it so logically. But the second I just let it flow, the second I said, right now, I'm just doing it. And like you said, I don't care. Whatever's happening, it might be awful, but at least it's happening. At least dancing is happening. And eventually,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, exactly. You're like, yeah, just at least it's happening. I know that feeling too. That's true.
Totally. And sometimes something beautiful is created. Sometimes I do a pretty sick dance move. Sometimes you must create an incredible painting.
Yeah, exact.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess like painters like Van Gogh or such, they must have had duds as well. Paintings that they sort of like sat down, they start work, and then it just doesn't appeal to them. They haven't done it, but I guess we don't see those ones.
Right. Yeah, you always, it's bringing that up. It's like, you do always wonder what other artists or other greats think all the time, you know, when they do it. Like, is there a particular way? I have to read like things on like, is there a particular way to be an artist? Like, what is a real artist and what's like, I guess, a fake artist? But then I read that it's like, it's not like that. It's kind of like, if you're doing and making, that's what you're an artist. Does that make sense? Like, I always get, yeah.
I've never thought of it in that way, but yeah, 100%. Wow. I love that. As long as you're just creating something, you are an artist because you're the only person that's ever created that thing in that specific way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're being consistent with it, kind of thing.
Right.
You know, that's why like you do it too. Like we write a schedule. Like I have to write a schedule to make myself do it. Yeah.
Of course. It's just having that commitment, knowing that you can do it. You can create something great.
Yeah.
Was the you talked about like the growths or like the tissue paper. Was that original? Did that just sort of happen in the moment?
Yeah, it did sort of happen in the moment. I got my paper towel wet. It got wet, like with the paint, with the paint on it that was on the paper towel. It got soaked in water. I don't know if it spilled or somehow it did. And then, it was just like, the texture was so interesting to me, and it was like mushy. Like, I don't know. I was just into like feeling what it felt like. It was like a kid or something. And then I was looking, and I was like, wonder what this would do if you put it on the canvas on my painting, because I don't know what the hell to do right now on my painting. And so I tried it, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of fun, you know, manipulating it, and it sticks to it. And that's kind of where,
That's sick. That's so clever. Like, yeah, man, it's instinctual. We just feel it. We just go with it. That's so cool.
Exactly.
Something original. I've never heard of that in art, to like use the tissue paper that we keep on the side to create to enhance the canvas, the painting.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so much fun. It's freedom.
Yeah.
Artists.
I feel like, I mean, thinking about it, it's kind of like sculptural, you know, like, because you're touching it with your hands and it's becoming 3D. But I've heard before, like, sculpture is such a broad term, and anything could be sculptural. So, like, even like you're saying, like, you're making films, like that's sculptural because it takes somebody who is, I guess, not 3D, but I guess that has to make it, and create it. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling and got confused in what I'm saying.
No, I think I get what you're saying. Like, if you're on a computer and you're like creating some sort of animation, it's kind of like just painting with a paintbrush. You're not full on like morphing outside of it out in the 3D world. But if you're filming it, you're moving around in it, kind of like you are with a statue. You can move around it.
Exactly. Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a clever way of thinking. It's different types of art, I suppose.
Right. It's art. It's gotten so abstract. Even what it is or what you're doing. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so abstract I don't get it, even with myself. But I guess like everything in a weird way can be art, you know, because especially if you're creating, because like to create is even like, it's like a science, you know, like you're experimenting and researching what you need to do in order to figure out how it is as a whole.
Right. Yes. 100%. Yeah. You sort of pick it apart. Which bit struck which chord in someone when they looked at your painting.
Yeah.
I found that with my acting, it almost killed my love of acting when I did that. I feel like, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like picking it apart too much can sort of, it takes the fun out of it. It's like, like the kids, if they were picking it apart, they'd be like, oh, it is just a plastic fire ambulance that's made in a factory somewhere that uses this type of metal, this type of plastic. They use this type of screw to screw all the little ambulance bits together. And then it's like, oh, it's not actually carrying people.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I guess so much of it is just illusion. It's just letting us believe in a dream.
Yeah. Just, we're curious people, maybe. We're just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. Yeah, we are. We want to find out. We want to go further. And the only way to find that is just to explore our own mind, our own creativity, what we can influence the world with.
Yeah.
What we can discover just by playing.
Exactly.
I find it's interesting. It sparked this thought in my head, the two types of art thing. Like when you look out of a window and you see a landscape, you're like, wow, that's beautiful as a whole. Like the whole thing is fascinating. And then you can walk through the landscape. And then I think that's like the 3D type of art you were talking about, like where you can feel it, you can sense it, you can feel the wind that's rushing through the tree that you're admiring. It's being in the art rather than just observing the art from a distance.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it that way, being in it. I like that.
Yeah. Have you created like sculptures before, like not actually on the canvas, but like sort of clay type things?
Not really with not like that kind of sculpture, but so we were talking about how like sculpture is a broad term. So I've done video art.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a lot of it is based off of like mental health and stuff like that. But that's the kind of sculpture at least that's what I have considered, I guess, kind of sculpture and what I was told in school it is. So that, and then I had a piece where they're photographs, but I also use tools, the material, to kind of overlay the photograph so that it creates this foggy, dreamlike look to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. I love dreamlike look. Like the director David Lynch that I was talking about. He's so dreamlike. I think you might enjoy his films. It's so, it's just so distanced from reality. It's like there's like a fog, like you said, that you use. It's weird. There's a mystery. He likes to use a lot of darkness. I don't know if you. I suppose you do in some paintings.
Yeah. I have to check this guy out.
Yeah.
It sounds super cool. Like, yeah, like there's that darkness. Is that what you're talking about? Like the darkness in that dreamlike reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. I don't know, maybe I'm a dark person. People can be dark, but how I think of it is everybody feels some kind of darkness at some point. Maybe not observing it as much as others do, but so like to be in touch with that kind of can create a release in some way, to like to have to focus on it can like make it so it's identifiable.
Right. Yeah. It's not this mystery darkness of like fear and like, oh shit, there's this horrible thing inside of me. It's like, oh, that's what it is. I'm a bit
right.
Yeah. It's okay. It's like it's kind of telling yourself it's okay. I'm a bit fucked up. I'm not gonna hurt anyone. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's like hopefully people that don't like to think about those things. It's like, yeah, maybe you got a little uncomfortable having to, but maybe that's good for you. I don't know. That sounds so dark. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like not the best at remembering or speaking, and then I say like dark shit and I'm worried.
No. It's fantastic. No, I don't think any of your friends are gonna like think you're some sort of serial killer. It's something so comforting about just being comfortable with the darkness. There's nothing that can hurt you from within once you're comfortable with it, I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I did a sound journey last night, which is where like you sort of close your eyes and then someone plays music. It was over a Zoom call and they play all these different sounds and you go inside of, it's kind of like a drug trip, I'd presume, some sort of psychedelic trip within the mind. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use this experience to kind of develop as a person. And I couldn't, at first I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm going to just think of it. How could I do it? And then I noticed there was like some hatred, some like angst, wrath, like one of the 7 deadly sins inside of me. So I started focusing on it and I was like channeling it and I was like, oh, where does that go? Trying to like locate it.
I love how you said that, challenging it, like facing it head on. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
the sound. Yeah.
Challenging it. It reminds me of like what or what I used to watch in films where you got like the kid and there's like this wise old dude telling him like, you got to face your fears, and then he like faces the monster and then the monster's just like nothing. It was like a cat with a big shadow. That's what it sort of reminds me of. Hello? Oh, sorry, I think the connection went.
Yeah, I think that was, sorry.
That's okay, no worries. Did you hear what I said for the last bit?
Well, no, because it got scratched out. What was it you said?
That's okay. I was just saying how like, this kid chasing after, or like being chased by some sort of monster in a film, and then the wise old guy is like face your fears. So he turns around to it, and it just turns out to be a cat with a huge shadow. That's what it sort of reminds me of.
Yeah, I could see that. That does make sense. It's like, yeah, it helps to face your fears.
Totally.
Yeah, it is.
So important as an artist as well, because I feel like we sort of channel that fear into our art.
Yeah, I think that I see that because it's vulnerable in a way, especially if you're going to show it. So that's like a fear in itself, but facing having to do it too, and sometimes judgment, or that's kind of, I see that as like, you have to face your fears, kind of like what you're talking about.
100%. Yeah, we have to, like you said, like it's the vulnerability is what really makes the art beautiful, because art, there was a wonderful quote I saw a few years ago that said, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. So the disturbed people, like, they're suffering and they're seeing the art, but someone else has let their vulnerability flow into the painting. So they're stood there feeling disturbed themselves and going like, someone gets it. Someone understands.
Yeah. I've heard that quote before, and I was thinking about it, and I was gonna say something about it earlier, but yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I know. I've heard. I think that's Banksy. I think Banksy said it. Yeah.
It must have been. I think I had a little image of it, and it was like a spray painting on a wall, so it must have been Banksy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That makes sense. Yeah, that is cool. That's a great quote.
It's so nice. We're in such a cool business to like help people that are struggling without directly contacting them, by helping ourselves, I guess.
Yeah. It's like a mix 2-in-1.
Yeah, it is. It's efficient.
It's efficient, exactly.
And it's not like it's not like when we're channeling our emotions into our projects, it's not like we're hating the process. It's not like we're feeling like, I suppose we can feel it, but the actual process of like getting the paint on our hands, or like picking up the camera and starting to film, or acting, we love that process. It feels so good. It's cathartic.
Yeah, that's super true. It's like, I was gonna say, that's thinking, yeah, it's like a release for us.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, in a way, sometimes I find art selfish, and I'm like, okay with that. Because it like makes you feel good, and then you hope for the other side to understand either what you're saying or what that feeling is.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And identifying, because like I always think of it like, why else do we want to share it besides people like to look at beautiful things? And then I'm like, well, some of the things people make are the uncomfortable things, right? I don't know if you could call it. I find uncomfort beautiful sometimes too, but I was like, well, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. No worries. Yeah, you're talking about how, I suppose, like the Banksy quote, like comfort, discomfort for some is like their comfort zone, like to be uncomfortable, to find fear. I think that's what you were saying, possibly.
Oh yeah. So I also think it like makes you think about things you wouldn't think about before.
Yeah.
Like kind of challenges you, and it could be positive. Like I find in political art, some people don't know about something or can't feel what the other person is trying to share. But when you put that out there, it kind of makes them think about it. And
right. Yeah.
I think that can grow awareness, maybe. Like, in a way, we heighten awareness.
Yeah, 100%. Because the more, like, if we look at something that we already know about, there's not much to think about. Like, I look at a deodorant can and I think it's a deodorant can. It makes me not smell like shit. But when we look at a beautiful painting and there's like things that we're like a painting of Salvador Dali, it triggers a new thought process. And the fact that it's new to us makes us more aware, because the next time we come across something like that, we already know about it. And I suppose that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it's that curiosity again, I guess. And humans are naturally want to learn things. And I could see what you're talking about with like remembering it. Yeah,
100%. It's so much to do with curiosity and being like an adventurous human. We're adventurers as artists into the unknown, into the weird, the wonderful, the scary shit. The shit, the shit people don't like to talk about in conversation, because like they'd look at you like, "Fuck, man, you're gonna kill my family. I don't want to talk to you again." But if you put it into a painting, it's a bit.
I know. Exactly. Like, no, it's just awareness or curiosity or a different way of thinking, broadening your mind. Really, it doesn't really have to be dark. It could kind of be dark, but not necessarily mean to be dark.
Yeah, it can be something beautiful and positive. Like my girlfriend before this podcast sent me a little image of. It was like about positive manifestations and the thoughts that you feed yourself, and it was art because it was like a little image with quotes around it, and it just got me thinking about how, like, before I was focusing on the 7 deadly sins and how I must avoid them. I cannot be wrathful. I cannot be envious. I cannot be slothish. I can't be lazy. But by focusing on the things that I kind of like, I'd like to be like. I can be relaxed. I can be curious. I can be creative. It just got me thinking, these positive things are out there too.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the exact opposite. That's interesting.
I guess it's different kind of art depending on what sort of a state you're in.
That's true too. Like what state you're in. And that in itself is part of the art piece, if you think about it, because everybody that's viewing it is in a different state of mind when they come to view it. Like,
right.
My perspective wouldn't be the same as your perspective, wouldn't be the same as another person's perspective completely, depending on what happened in their life, their experiences, what was happening right then, where they were viewing it. So I find that interesting. It was like an art within an art. If that makes sense.
I think I get what you mean. So like the concept in itself is the art, the concept of people viewing each piece of art and seeing it differently and seeing a new piece of art. Right.
Just that in itself. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I never thought of that. The philosophy and like thought processes like that are in itself art because they get you thinking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh no, now I'm just going into like a rant probably.
Into what, sorry?
No, into a rant. Sometimes I get into a rant about stuff and it's probably unsensical. I'm glad you get it. I'm glad you're right there with me.
Well, it makes sense. It's got me thinking. It's got me thinking that Plato was an artist. He wasn't just a dude that came up with ideas about how the world runs. Fascinating. Yeah. No, you seem to have such a creative mind. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone like you, to be honest.
Oh, thank you.
That's okay.
It's seems like craziness in my head.
I can relate to that. I get you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Man, I wonder if all artists are crazy, or if we're the sane ones.
Or just you don't want to admit it, but you're low key crazy. Everybody's a little crazy.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We just we know how to channel it. I guess that's what
exactly.
it is. Man, this has been such an insightful talk. I think I'll just stop recording.